students, today we will learn about the laws of motion, the chapter 3 of your physics textbook. So this chapter begins with the term force, which you have already learned in your junior classes as well. So what is force? The force is the cause that can change the body's state. So here we will start with the two kinds of forces. So the two kinds of forces we have is a contact force and a non-contact force. Just as the name itself suggests, the contact forces are the one that comes into play when the two bodies are in physical contact with one another. And the non-contact forces are the one that acts even when the two bodies are separated by a distance. The example of a contact force is a frictional force. For example, rubbing your two hands together. The frictional force comes into play only when both of the hands are in physical contact with one another. Another is a tension force. Whenever you want to compress or elongate a rubber band, the forces must be in a physical contact with that string. You cannot compress or extend a string just by applying a force from a distance. You must touch it. So those are the two examples of the contact forces. Now coming to the non-contact force, all of you must have played with the magnet. So the magnet, they exert a force of attraction and repulsion with one another even when they are separated by a distance. Another is a gravitational force. No matter whether you are in a touch with the ground or you are at a higher level, you are always attracted by the earth. So this kind of forces that comes into play even when they are separated by a distance is known as a non-contact force. So the two examples of non-contact force is a magnetic force and a gravitational force. So now coming to the non-contact force, or especially the gravitational force, there are certain characteristics of a non-contact force. The two well-known characteristics are the gravitational force, irrespective of the charge, they are always attractive in nature. Like the earth attracts everything, whether a charged particle or an uncharged or a neutral. And the second character is this gravitational force or non-contact force, it depends on the distance of separation. Like the larger will be the separation, the lesser will be the forces, and the lesser will be the separation, the more will be the force. Now if it is the case of a gravitational force, the attractive force is also directly proportional to the product of their masses. Suppose if we have two objects of mass m1 and m2. So the force of attraction will be directly proportional to the product of the masses m1 into m2. And the force of attraction, suppose if these two distances m1 and m2 is separated by a distance r, the force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance separating them, which we learn later in the gravitational force. So is that clear? So now we learn the first law of motion, which is also known as the Newton's first law of motion. So we know that the body always has a two state. It either has a two state. The body can either be in rest or can be in motion. So you must have noticed that a ball laying on the ground, it remains at rest. And if something is moving, it continuously moves until and unless you apply an external force to it. So that itself is the Newton's first law. So the Newton's first law tells us that a body in motion will remain in motion and a body at rest remains at rest until and unless you apply an external force. So from the Newton's first law, we get the definition of two things. The first one is the force itself, which you have already learned in your junior classes. So what is the force? The force is the cause that can change the body's state. If something is at rest, you can apply a force and bring it in motion. If something is in motion, you can apply a force and then stop a moving object. So that is what is known as a force. Now the second thing is inertia. Now what is inertia? So in Newton's first law, we learned that the body at rest remains at rest and a body in motion remains in motion. So it is because of the property of an object known as inertia. So what does the inertia do? The inertia tries to keep the body at rest only, and the inertia also tries to keep the body in motion only. So that is what is inertia. So inertia is a property of every body. that tends to keep the body at rest, and the body in motion, Now the factors that affect the inertia are the velocity and the mass. So the inertia of a body is directly proportional to the velocity. For example, imagine you want to stop a bicycle moving with a great velocity. You need a greater force. So the greater is the velocity, the greater will be the inertia. And the second one is the mass. So imagine you need to stop a running train and a running bicycle. In which case you require more force. It's obviously very clear that you will require a large force to stop that moving train. So the larger is the mass, the greater will be the inertia. So the two factors on which the inertia of the body depends are the velocity and the mass. So is that clear? So now let us come to the kinds of inertia. So usually there are two types of inertia, because our body at rest remains at rest and the body in motion always wants to remain in motion. So therefore there are two kinds of inertia, the inertia of rest and the inertia of motion. So what does the inertia of rest means? The inertia of rest is the property of body due to which our body at rest remains at rest. And inertia of motion is the property of a body due to which the body in motion remains in motion. So now there are some of the applications or the physical interpretation of this inertia of rest and inertia of motion. Here I have written two of the examples. So you all must have experienced this. When you are sitting on a motorbike and your parents or your father suddenly starts a motorbike, we always tend to fall backward. It is because of the inertia of rest. Initially, when the motorbike is at rest, our whole body along with the motorbike is at rest. So what does our body do? Our body tries to maintain the state of rest. But suddenly when the motorbike starts moving, the lower portion of your body moves along with the bike. But the upper portion, which is not intact with the motorbike, it tries to remain at rest. So the lower portion, it moves forward, but whereas the upper portion, it tries to remain at rest. So we tend to fall backward. Similarly, when you see the branches of the fruit it falls off. It's because the fruit wants to stay in the state of rest, but when the branches are moving. So that's why the fruit falls off the tree when its branches are shaken. Now coming to the inertia of motion, we tend to fall forward when a car suddenly stops. Not only car, even the motorbike. When you are on a bike and suddenly when the motorbike stops, we always tend to fall forward. It is because along with the motorbike, whole of our body is in the state of motion. So when suddenly the brakes are applied, the motorbike comes to rest, and the lower portion of the body, which is intact with the motorbike, it also comes to rest. But the upper portion of the body, which is in motion, it tries to remain in the state of motion. So what happens? We tend to fall forward. Another example is an athlete. Before taking a long jump, he runs. Why? Because when he runs, he is having the inertia of motion. So when suddenly he lifts off his feet off the ground, the inertia of motion carries him more forward. So these are some of the applications of the inertia of rest and the inertia of motion. So in the next class, we shall learn about the Newton's second law of motion and also the third. Thank you.